In this video, I really want to talk about a frog retrieve that more or less blew my mind this week. I got to watch a lot of the Bassmaster Elite series on the Mississippi River, and there was an angler that was fishing a frog in a pretty unique way. And I also want to talk about how you can kind of take this same concept of lure retrieve and apply it to a lot of different lures, and how it can really help you to stand out from the crowd. So in this video, we're going to talk all about that. Now, before we get into it, this video is brought to you by Fin Fishing Apparel. And at Fin Fishing, I have a number of different products. And right now for the month of August, which is just about another week, I'm running a big contest and giveaway over on the website. So for basically every dollar that is spent at Fin Fishing right now for the month of August, you get an entry into this giveaway where I'm actually going to be giving out 8 different prizes. So 7 different bait cast rods, as well as a brand new Arc Gravity 2 reel. Also, anyone who orders something in the month of August gets a free mystery lure in their package, no matter how big or small. Also, if you get a USA Made Sun shirt, you get a free Bass Mass Net Gator with it. So a lot of free stuff going out the door right now. Shopping at Fin Fishing is the best way to help support this channel, and I greatly appreciate all of you who have done so. All right, let's talk a little bit about fishing a frog, and something that really more or less blew my mind this week, because I actually got to tune into Bassmaster Live a little bit more than normal this past week. You know, I love getting to pay attention to it where I can, but obviously with running a couple of YouTube channels and businesses and things that I got going on, I don't always have that opportunity. Well, this past weekend, I really got to watch a little bit more of it. And I will tell you what, a lot of anglers were fishing frogs during this particular tournament. It was, you know, it's no secret by any means. Like every time they go up to La Crosse and fish there, like 90% of the field is throwing a frog. And I can guarantee you that 100% of them at least have it on the front deck of their boat. But something that I thought was really unique about this one particular tournament, and really about this one particular angler, who is Brian Schmidt. Brian Schmidt is an angler who always does really good on rivers, always does really good on river or in grass fisheries. And I'm not sure if you guys noticed this, but Brian was fishing a frog like a lot of anglers, but he was fishing it at a pace that I don't think I have ever seen someone fish a frog. Like, we've talked a lot on this channel about fishing a frog fast at times and fishing it slow. Like, here's fishing it fast, here's fishing it slow, and here is where Brian Schmidt was. Like, he was fishing the frog at the slowest pace that I'd ever seen. Like, he would cast this bait out, let it hit the water. And I fished the frog slow before, but I'm telling you, I wasn't a third as slow as Brian. Like, it was twitch. Let that thing, literally let the rings of the frog simmer down. Twitch. Let them all simmer down again. Like, twitch. Like, that's how slow it was. Like, it wasn't a pop, pop, pop. It wasn't back and forth. It wasn't even like pop, pop, pop. It was so slow that I didn't look into this. I should have timed it. But the amount of time that it would probably take him to fish a cast, like, I am guessing is well over like 2 to 3 minutes. And if you think about one cast taking you 2 or 3 minutes to complete, like, that means you're only getting 20 casts in an hour of bass fishing, to really put it into perspective. Like, it was crazy how slow that he was fishing that. But if you look at it, he caught some of the biggest frog fish that I saw caught throughout the entire week. Like I said, a lot of guys were catching them, but he was catching a lot of big frog fish. He ended up getting 4th in that particular tournament. And to me, one of the things, like, anytime that I get the opportunity to watch Bass Live, I always want to try to learn something just as if I am out there fishing. And one of the biggest things that, you know, we deal with as fishermen is that there's not always a secret hole out there, and there's not always a secret technique. A lot of the lakes that we go to, they are dominated in a lot of the exact same areas time and time again. Same thing holds true for going up to La Crosse, Wisconsin, and fishing the Mississippi River. A lot of those same areas produce bass year in and year out. And this actually goes back to some of the scientific studies that I've done. Like, bass have a home range. They have an area where a lot of bass, at least, like to be in, and they will stay in there their whole life. And so when you have tournaments that continually go to the exact same places, a lot of those places, those small sections, will really get exposed. And not only that, when you get to a place like La Crosse, there's only so many different techniques that you're gonna be able to fish. Like a frog, a flip stick, you know, flipping that stuff. There's only so many things that you can do to really separate. And, you know, in the case of a frog, you're not really going to separate your frog from other people's frogs a lot by the color, like, because a lot of it is matte fishing. You could probably add a little bit of rattles here and there to your frog. You can do a little bit of things. But one of the biggest things that can truly separate you is the speed at which you fish a frog. And I know that throughout the entire Bass Live, the segments that I saw nobody else fishing a frog that slow. And the thing is that you didn't need to fish a frog that slow in order to get bites, but you're talking about an angler that caught on average a bigger size fish than the rest of the field. So if you really think about that, there are times when you're out there on the water where you may not get a lot more bites than another angler by fishing at a different pace. But the few bites you may get, or maybe it's just that one bite all day long that you get that is a difference maker, a 4, a 5 pounder in the case of this particular tournament, can make a huge difference in the outcome of your day of fishing, whether this is a tournament or not. And so I think it's so important to remember not only this when it comes to frog fishing, but when it comes to all of the different lures that we can fish. I know for a fact that a couple years ago, I got on a really good big worm bite. And the thing with it seems like every year I get on a decent big worm bite, but this year in particular that I'm talking about, I could not fish that big worm slow enough. Like, I had to drag it so dang slow, but it seemed like almost every other cast I was getting a bite. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it may have taken me way longer to complete one cast, but I was getting a lot of bites by working it that exact same way. Now, fast forward to this year, obviously I fish a lot of tournaments. There's a guy in the back of my boat who's been fishing a technique that is extremely slow, and he's been getting a lot of bites on it. And I have found myself at times fishing the exact same way, but fishing it too fast. And so even though you subconsciously know these things as a bass fisherman, being intentional about it is completely different. And so when you're out there on the water and you're faced with a high pressure situation, or you're faced with a situation where kind of like La Crosse, there's a lot of the exact same style of fishing going on, frog fishing, flipping. If that is happening to you, sometimes the biggest differentiator that you're gonna have is fishing differently, fishing that bait a little bit differently, whether that's uber duper slow, or sometimes it's on the complete opposite end. Sometimes it's as fast as you can. You know, I got to fish down in Georgia, North Carolina area last year for spotted bass. And the whole thing that I found out in that particular day of fishing is that I couldn't work a bait fast enough. Like, if you worked a bait too slow, you weren't gonna get a bite. If you literally use an 8-to-1 gear ratio reels, worked it as fast as you can, that is the only way you could trigger some of these fish to bite. And so when it comes to bass fishing, always think about your speed. And you can always remember Brian Schmidt in this tournament and how slow he fished a frog to help you think about speed. Because sometimes you're throwing the right bait, you're in the right area, but you have to get that speed down. It is such a critical part in bass fishing, and it can make the difference in a good day and a bad day. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to check out that fin gear right here, and I will see you guys in the next one.